Now we're going to turn our attention to the French newspapers. France Villeneuve's with us here today. Good to have you with us. Nicolas Sarkozy been visiting France's largest agricultural fair, something that happens every year, isn't it? But this year, fair heavily politicised. Presidential elections, of course, just 2 months away.
Yes, and it's kind of a mandatory stop on the campaign trail, and because candidates are always keen to show that they're very close to rural France, the heartland, hard-working citizens. And 20 Minutes points this out on their front cover, La campagne à la campagne, so a play on words there because campagne in French obviously means campaign, but also means countryside. And there you see a photo of centrist candidate François Bayrou trying to get to a cow, it seems, trying to get through this sea of journalists. Now, Sarkozy inaugurated the fair on Sunday, and Le Figaro sees this as part of Sarkozy's strategy. According to Le Figaro, Sarkozy, the campaigning president, is keen to woo farmers. He wants to not only consolidate his image, but also his voting base. And so according to Le Figaro, he spent what they call a marathon, 4 hours mingling with the crowd, tasting cheese, sipping local, well, maybe not wine, but local products at least. Now, centrist candidate Bayrou, he spent 8 hours there, and according to the article, socialist candidate François Hollande is going to spend 6 hours there on Tuesday, and they say he's going to arrive early enough to milk the cows. Now, Le Figaro points out that though farmers traditionally do vote for the right, Sarkozy, according to polls, will only get about 40% of the farmers' vote, so he could go back there before the fair is up, according to Le Figaro.
All trying to get the farmers' votes. The major theme of the campaign, of course, so far has been the economy, the debt crisis as well. Libération, though, pointing out one topic that the campaign steered pretty clear of, really.
Yes, according to Libération, les banlieues, le grand oubli. So banlieue, suburbs, but it's more like projects, really, are the forgotten topic of the campaign. And there's a big investigation in Libération that says that in recent years, nothing has really changed other than the facade of buildings. Residents feel abandoned by politicians. And in their editorial, Libération looks back to 2007. And at that time, France's projects were angry. And today, according to Libération, the situation is worse because people there feel disenchanted, completely disillusioned. They don't expect anything from the government, and they feel completely indifferent as to who they're going to vote for. And Libération predicts that there's going to be a significant amount of voter abstention, that people just aren't going to go to polling stations because, according to Libération, the candidates haven't come to see them. They've all been at the agricultural fair. They haven't been going to these rough neighborhoods, and they haven't been making these projects a major part of the election. According to Libération, they eventually will. They'll eventually start talking about the projects. But so far, the themes of the campaign have been unemployment, the debt crisis, etc. And Libération says that that is very important. But these issues concern people in the projects. 8 million people live in these neighborhoods. And they point out an interesting statistic, which is 42% of young people in these projects are unemployed. And Libération tries to explore why is the UMP and why is the Socialist Party not going there? Why are they not making the projects a key target of their campaign? And according to Libération, it's because we're in a time of crisis. And neither party wants to make it look like they're favoring any people. They don't want to make it look like they're favoring, for instance, the poor class compared to the middle class or the upper class, and they're trying to avoid making an exception of anybody.
You mentioned unemployment there. Business paper Les Echos, they're focusing on that.
Yes, that's on their front page, and this comes as the latest figures show that unemployment increased in January. And on their front page, Les Echos points out the results of a new study, which says that by the age of 50, half of French people have experienced a period of unemployment, especially women and less qualified workers. So this proves that the instability that people can experience during their career is increasing. And Les Echos, in their editorial, calls this a social cancer that France has been experiencing for the last 30 years. And they say that it's worse than in other developed countries. And Les Echos calls for more transparency regarding unemployment figures. It says that even though France is a country of statistics, there are all sorts of statistics concerning taxes, et cetera, there isn't enough transparency regarding unemployment figures. For instance, this new study, it was carried out in 2006, but the figures were only released last week, so it's calling for more transparency.
And finally, big news of the day, The Artist, big winner in the Oscars. Obviously, no newspaper's been printed yet, but you've been looking online, haven't you?
Yes, the buzz is getting very exciting on the internet. This, of course, the news came out after newspapers were published, but we pulled out this article in Le Figaro, which is extremely excited. Now, of course, this is the first French film to win so many Oscars, awards for music, costumes, best film, best director, and of course, best actor for Jean Dujardin. Le Figaro points out that he beat out heavyweights such as Brad Pitt and George Clooney, and lots of reactions, especially regarding his kind of outpour of joy. I love your country, and what he said, oh, beep, because he said a bad word. Merci, merci beaucoup. So you can be sure it's going to be on the front pages tomorrow.
Who needs a proper bleeping machine when you got Florence Villeneuve? Thank you very much. Florence there with the French papers here at France 24.